Hello friends, my name is Trevor. As of the recording of this video, the weather here in New York has begun to get a little bit cooler. The leaves on the trees have begun changing in the north, and many New Yorkers have begun preparations for the Mid-Autumn Festival. But what is the Mid-Autumn Festival, you might be asking? Well, I'm here to tell you. So, the Mid-Autumn Festival, also called 中秋节 in Mandarin, or this in other languages, is a major festival that takes place in the beginning of fall, usually falling between the beginning of September and the beginning of October. The reason for this variance is because the date for the Mid-Autumn Festival is actually decided based on the lunar calendar, so it always takes place on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month, which just happens to be between the beginning of September and the beginning of October. For example, this year, the Mid-Autumn Festival takes place on September 17th. Now, the Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated by people from mainland China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and any place where you can find people of those diasporas. While there are some variations in how people celebrate it based on which country you're in, some things are nearly universal. For example, the moon always plays a big role in the Mid-Autumn Festival. That is because the 15th day of the 8th lunar month is always a full moon. Historically, the Mid-Autumn Festival traces its roots back to China. At the time, people were obsessed with the stars and the moon, so it's very hard to trace back exactly when the festival was started, but in ancient times there were already people talking about a festival happening in the fall called 秋夕, in which people will look at the moon. Some scholars argue that, given its time of year, it might also have originated as a harvest festival, as maybe the first full moon of the 8th month of the year is a good time to start harvesting. Now, while the origins of this festival do go a ways back, it wasn't really until the Tang Dynasty where it got really popular. Nowadays, the big three things that you'll do during the Mid-Autumn Festival are 1. Looking at the moon, 2. Getting together with family, and 3, but most importantly, eating moon cakes, which look like this. Keep watching until the end to see us try this red bean paste moon cake. But I think that's enough about how the Mid-Autumn Festival came to be historically. So let's get into the fun stuff, which is the myth behind the Mid-Autumn Festival. It is said long, long ago there were 10 suns in the sky. At first, they would take turns to come out to play, but the sun that came out each day would feel lonely as they traversed the sky. And so one day they decided, let's all go out at the same time. And so all 10 suns came out to play in the sky. As you can imagine, having 10 suns in the sky caused rivers to dry up and crops to wither. People were starving and dying, and so someone had to do something. In stepped Hou-yi, a legendary archer. With his great bow, he arched back and shot down 9 of the suns, leaving just one, the sun that we know today. The people celebrated him as a hero, and the Queen Mother of the West, mother of the King of Heaven, gifted him an elixir of immortality for his great deed. Now, when I hear the word elixir in English, I often think of a liquid, but this elixir is often depicted as being small balls that you might see in Chinese medicine. Given that there was only one elixir to take, Hou-yi decided to put it away safely in his house, as he couldn't bear to leave his wife, chang'e, on Earth by herself. That's right, when you become immortal in Chinese culture, you get to fly up into heaven. As Hou-yi was a great hero, he took on a lot of disciples. One of these disciples learned about the elixir of immortality and coveted it for himself. One day, while Hou-yi was away on a trip, he broke into the house, scaring chang'e. Chang'e, who knew what he was after, decided to swallow the pill of immortality herself in order to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. As soon as she swallowed it, she floated up into the sky, as immortals cannot remain on Earth. However, instead of going up into heaven, she decided to go to the moon, where there is a great empty palace already built. This is because the moon is the closest part of heaven to Earth. When Hou-yi found out that Chang'e was gone, he was distraught. And every night on the full moon, when Chang'e was closest to him, he would set out her favorite snack, mooncakes, pour himself some plum wine, and stare up at the moon where Chang'e was living. Fortunately, from other stories in Chinese mythology, we know that Chang'e is actually not alone up on the moon. There are 2 other people up there. One is the jade rabbit, who spends their days on the moon making medicine. However, in Japan and Korea, they say that the rabbit is making mochi. Also on the moon is an incompetent woodcutter who's been given the task to cut down a tree that'll take him the whole day to cut down. The one caveat is the tree will regrow every night. So if you don't complete the job in one day, you can't get it done. However, he's so lazy that he only cuts down half the tree each day and goes to sleep for the other half of the day. So probably not what you'd think of as good company. The myth goes on to say this is why, on the Mid-Autumn Festival, people will have mooncakes, they'll gaze at the moon, and they'll spend time with family. In modern times, what you do on the Mid-Autumn Festival is a little bit different depending on where you're from. For example, you might set off fireworks, some people will put up sky lanterns, and then if you're in Taiwan, it's time for barbecue. This is because, in the 80s, barbecue sauce company Wanjiaxiang had a very successful ad campaign urging people to have barbecue on 中秋节 or the Mid-Autumn Festival. Assuming it doesn't get copyright struck, I'm going to put a portion of the ad up here.
一家烤肉万家香.
Another difference is in Taiwan, people also have pomelos. Pomelos are kind of like a grapefruit, but they're green. And then the other thing people will do with them is they'll turn the skin of the pomelo into a pomelo hat. I've always loved this picture of a cat in the pomelo hat. I think it's adorable. Alrighty, at this point we've discussed when the Mid-Autumn Festival takes place, what you do during the Mid-Autumn Festival, the actual history behind the Mid-Autumn Festival, and the myth behind the Mid-Autumn Festival. Now, let's try this mooncake. Just gotta get it open right here. Alright. This is a pretty big mooncake. It's, as you can hear, it's got the dog's attention. It smells very good, as you can tell. So as you can see, it has an intricate design. So the way they make this is they use a mold, and the mold will impart the design. And so we're going to try this together. This time we got red bean paste flavor, which is actually quite delicious. If you haven't had red bean before, it tastes very good. It's hard to describe how red bean paste tastes, but it tastes very good. So let's give it a try. I'm gonna cut a small piece because these are very calorically dense. And myself and Susu, who is behind the camera, will tell you what we think.
Hello all.
So Susu, while I'm cutting this, what is your favorite flavor of mooncake?
I love the red bean. I really hate the 五仁馅.
Ah, okay, the one with all the nuts and seeds and stuff?
That's the worst.
Ah, okay. I agree. Or I would have agreed, except for a couple years ago. Oh, there's Susu's piece. A couple years ago, I tried a 肉松 one. So 肉松 is pork floss, and it is fine by itself. In a mooncake, it's a little weird because I'm just used to mooncakes being sweet. Have you ever had a 肉松 mooncake?
This one has some like nuts in it. The red bean paste, not purely red bean.
Oh, okay. Interesting. 'Cause I know red bean paste tends to be a little bit nutty. I agree. And I also kind of get like a orange peel kind of taste.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that dense and like too much, so it's good.
Yes, indeed. And you notice we both cut ourselves a very small piece. So they're very calorically dense, as I just mentioned. So what would you say are the most popular flavors of mooncake?
I think it used to be red bean and 五仁, and then there's the egg yolk with the 白莲.
Ah, yeah, the lotus paste.
Yeah. But that one is very oily. However, nowadays I think it's very famous for having the salty egg lava mooncake.
Oh yeah, we had that one year, didn't we?
Yeah, because that was from 美心月饼, which is a Hong Kong brand that was like very famous. Now they just have all different kinds of flavor, and then they're not even making it in the traditional way. They make it in the white skin, it's the 冰皮月饼, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, like literally ice skin. Yeah, that's kind of like a mochi ice cream, right? Because those are frozen. Yeah, that's interesting.
And I remember back in China several years ago, Starbucks also started making like mooncake, fancy version. And Häagen-Dazs also make mooncake, but in ice cream. So it's just like now they just adopt a very different version as well.
Wow, that's very interesting. I have to say, I do like the salted egg yolk lotus paste one, but you're right, they are very oily and they're a lot. You can't have more than one in a day, otherwise you'll feel terrible.
And if I have to pick, I will prefer 粽子 over mooncake because that's tastier.
Interesting. I think for me it depends, because for me I would always think of 粽子 as being like a savory dish and mooncakes as being sweet. So I think I would pick mooncakes for a dessert, but definitely 粽子 for a meal. I hope you've enjoyed watching our video on the Mid-Autumn Festival. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye!